What's up, everyone? Mike here from tastylive for another episode of Options in Action, a new series where we take old whiteboard videos regarding strategies, concepts, and everything in between, and we look at the platform in real time, and we kind of give it more of an advanced light. So you can find the beginner concepts where we talk about, call options, put options, implied volatility, different strategies and whatnot, but I like to talk about the real-time application of these things because things change over time. Things that I looked at before, I might look at differently now. So I think it's an interesting take there. But check out the Mike's Whiteboard playlist on the YouTube channel because we're basically just going in chronological order from that playlist. So today we are talking about notional value. Last segment we talked about leverage, and I think these two are kind of similar. When we talk about notional value, we're really talking about the amount of exposure that you have to a certain product. So it's less important for long options positions, I would say, because long options positions like buying a call or buying a put or buying a calendar spread or buying a diagonal spread, your notional value is really just the debit you pay. Like your risk is the debit you pay. When it comes to short options, though, specifically short undefined risk options, your notional value exposure can be greatly different than your buying power requirement. And I think that's really the real-time application here. But I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks that I like to look at in the platform, especially in these futures products where I couldn't be paid to tell you what the notional value is for some of them, but I know how to find it real quick. So we are in the tastytrade platform, and we're looking at crude oil here. Crude oil, micro crude oil, is a product I've been trading left and right. It's had heightened implied volatility with the overseas situations that we're hearing every day, basically. But looking at this real quick, notional value exposure. This is a $7,900 product, the micro crude contract. So if I sell a put at the 79 strike on this $7,900 product, my max loss is $7,900 less the credit received up front. So my notional exposure here is technically $7,600 if crude oil were to go to zero. My buying power requirement, though, is only $886, so significantly less than my max loss. And this is why it's so important to understand what notional risk is. The buying power risk is different than the notional risk. That is very true for undefined risk trades. It is not as true for defined risk trades in terms of like a credit spread, but you still have situations where a credit spread could expire where your short options in the money, your long options out of the money, and now all of a sudden you have 100 shares of stock or whatever it is. Maybe it's a contract in the future space, and now your notional risk has shifted from the initial trade. But if you're selling a put in this example, your notional risk here is $7,600 because you're picking up about $300 to reduce your strike basis down to 76. Now, from a trade efficiency standpoint, I think this is another thing that kind of wraps into notional value, right? I'm able to sell this put for $300 and only put up $800 in buying power requirement, and I have the ability to control or hold the notional risk of $7,600. So this is a really strong return on capital trade just with a short put by itself because I'm picking up well over 20% of the buying power requirement on the trade. That's kind of how I look at it. If I'm putting up $1,000, I want to pick up $200 at least. If I look at a buying power requirement of $1,000 and I'm only picking up 50 cents, I'm not making that trade. I think there's just so many other opportunities out there where I don't need to tie up $1,000 for such little return. And also, the return is not a lot in terms of the risk you're taking in terms of notional value, but also the buying power requirement there. So that's the first thing I would say, just understanding notional risk and how it impacts you. And especially when you talk about worst case scenario, right? I have this MES position on, I've had it on the entire year. And an MES strangle, if you were to look at just like a brand new strangle, 75, 7,700, you're putting up about $1,500 in buying power. You have unlimited upside risk, but for my strategy, I've been eliminating upside risk or reducing upside risk by just shifting the whole thing up anytime my call is tested. But to the downside, that's where I'm going to end up taking risk. It's the S&P 500. The further this thing falls, the more long I would want to get naturally anyways. But same kind of story here. If I just sell this put at 7,500, picking up $400 with a buying power requirement of $2,000, that checks the box, right? That is a really strong return on capital, about 20%, just from that short put alone. But look at this max loss number, $37,000. So you have to ask yourself this question. I think this is the most important thing about trading small, which is a key concept you hear on Tasty Live all the time. Can I absorb a 10% sell-off? Can I absorb a 20% sell-off? Can I absorb a 30% sell-off? If the answer is no, then the trade needs to be defined risk, or the trade needs to be sized down, because I can't tell you when the next 30% sell-off is going to be in the S&Ps, but I can tell you for sure that if it does happen, I will have no issue holding this position. I have a strangle on in MES. If I end up taking on a 10K loss, a 15K loss, that's an unrealized loss, I'm able to hold it because I've sized my trade correctly to where I can withstand all the variance in the world in MES. And again, the further this thing falls, if it does happen, the more I'd want to get long anyways. And I want that delta to increase because historically, these markets have always recovered. So I want to size correctly for the opportunity to make back that money if that's the case. So that's really it when it comes to notional value and really leverage at the same time. Understand what your notional risk is and always ask yourself the question, if you're selling an undefined risk trade, can you absorb a 10%, 20%, 30% loss? And the more the answer is no, the more you really can run into trouble, because a 10% move in the MES probably will happen again this year. So if I can't absorb that, or I'm trading too large to where my buying power expands, or my losses accumulate so much that I can't hold it, it's a really tough scenario to be successful in the long term. But last but not least, my favorite tip and a trick here for looking at these futures markets. So RTY, whatever it is, 6J, Japanese yen is another fun example. When I look at this, I know I can trade this, but I don't know specifically what these ticks are, how much this is worth, etc., etc. But what I do know is if I throw on a short option position, the Tasty Trade platform always will show you your max profit, your max loss, and your buying power requirement. So what I'm getting at here is, let's say I want to sell a put in the Japanese yen in the 23-day cycle. What I can do is just approach it just like any other equity trade, right? If I sell this option, selling the option for $200, putting up $2,300 in buying power, this is the first kind of no-go for me. I don't know if this is an efficient use of capital for collecting 10% of the buying power requirement. Again, earlier I said 20% is usually what I shoot for. So I probably wouldn't do this trade just by looking at that. But if you're asking yourself the question, how much is this product actually worth? How much is one contract in the Japanese yen futures market worth? What I like to do is go to the nearest term options expiration, which here is the 23-day, and just sell an at the money put and see what the max loss is. So this tells us that this is a $77,500 product. If we just look at the at the money put, 77K, picking up $500 in premium, we arrive at 77.5. So Japanese yen, 77.5 in terms of notional. RTY, same story. Selling at the money put, see what it is, 150K. Look at that. So these are the tools that I like to use. These are the tricks I like to do in terms of, hey, I want to trade this product, but instead of scouring the internet and being like, what's the tick size, what's the notional, you can just throw something on the trade page. Obviously, don't route it if you're not comfortable doing it and you don't want to. But like 6A, Australian dollar, what is this? Oh, it's a $70,000 product. Who knew? Maybe you did. But this is the kind of way that I like to approach it. And again, the options strategies and concepts we talk about on Tasty Live when it comes to the equity space or the indices space, it translates to the futures market. Everything is derived from the Black-Scholes model, and that's really what these strategies are from, right? So if I know that a put spread behaves a certain way in Apple or SPY or whatever, I know I can do the same thing in something like the Aussie dollar if I want to. Just make sure you understand your risk tolerance and those sort of things. But those are the real three quick ways that I like to use the platform to guide my notional value exposure in terms of, what am I trading? What's the size of this thing? And can I absorb a 10, 20, 30% move if I'm selling undefined risk premium? I think these are all questions everyone should be asking themselves if they're going down that road. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like this video and subscribe to the Tasty Live channel if you haven't already. And we'll see you on the next episode of Options in Action.